Buddy, it is your head coach, Jeff, coming to you to talk to you guys in a video series about the Prehab15. These 15 different foam rolling and flexibility movements have been put into place for you as the student to perform prior to your training days here in Training for Warriors. Really my best recommendation is to get to practice about 10 or 15 minutes early. That way you have use of all the different foam rollers in different modalities to use for the foam rolling techniques. And really what these 15 different exercises are meant to do is to increase your range of motion, increase your flexibility, increase your performance, and then most importantly of all, to decrease risk of injury. What you guys have to remember is that in Training for Warriors, you guys are training like athletes, right? I mean, Martin designed this program almost 20 years ago, originally for MMA fighters and combat athletes, and is now being used with NFL athletes for the combine prep. It's used in different areas of the government, like the U.S. Army and things like that. So you cannot negate this process. So once again, these moves are to be done prior to your training days. And if that's 3, 4, 5 times a week, that's how many times you need to be doing it. All right, so if you were to follow along with the Prehab15 sheet, I'm going from left to right, top to bottom. The first move that's on there is for actually foam rolling the bottoms of your feet. Now, this is very important because our feet make contact with the ground most throughout the day, and so we're on our feet a lot, but most of us don't really actually do anything for foot care. The bottoms of your feet, a lot of the lower leg muscles insert into a lot of ligaments and tendons, and the bottom of your foot actually has a very, very big, dense band of connective tissue. And so over time, that connective tissue takes a beating and can lead to pain and instability and things like that in the feet and ankle complex. So what you can do is at home, this is a lacrosse ball. You can also use like a tennis ball, maybe a softball, or a golf ball. But I will say the golf ball is extremely painful. So basically what you're gonna do, whatever you have at home, you're just gonna set on the ground, and then you can grab onto like a wall or something to support yourself so you can make sure that you leverage all of your weight onto whatever you're gonna be stepping on. And I'll start at the very arch of my foot to the closest on the inside of my foot, and I'll go towards the top of my foot, around to the top, and then to the outside, kind of drawing a square all the way to your heel. And then just kind of make smaller and smaller squares, making sure to put all of your weight onto the ball that you're pressing on, okay? You want to spend about 20 to 30 seconds per foot. You might feel some areas that are a little more painful than others, and that's normal. Those are the ones you kind of want to really sit on and push into. So 20 to 30 seconds each foot, starting on the inside of the arch, up and around, drawing kind of a square, spiraling towards the middle. 20. All right, next up, we're actually getting into some of our foam rolling techniques. Now there's various different forms of foam rollers out there, especially the ones that we have at the dojo. We have some of the less dense styrofoam foam rollers, all the way up to the more dense PVC with a harder styrofoam here. So if you don't foam roll on a regular basis, or this is something very new to you, I would start with some of the different colored styrofoam foam rollers here, and then work yourself up to something that pushes a little bit harder, so you can kind of build up the tolerance to it, because there are some of these foam rolling techniques, like the one I'm about to show you, that can actually be quite painful. But the good thing is, the more you foam roll, you're gonna get rid of a lot of those knots. It won't be as painful, and that means you're gonna start to move and feel a lot better too. So the first muscle that we're actually gonna foam roll, I'm gonna show you on this one right here, is we're gonna foam roll. It's called the IT band. Now, the IT band is short for iliotibial band. So it starts up here at the very top of your hip, right in one of your hip flexors here, goes all the way down the lateral side of your quadriceps, crosses the knee, and inserts right into the tibia. So it can affect both the hip, the back, and the knee health as well, and then subsequently the ankle. So any type of running that's done on a repetitive basis is going to create a lot of tension in that IT band. Any form of walking around a lot, once again, this IT band bears a lot of that tension because that's its job. Now, if you don't take care of that over time, you might have some lateral knee pain, lateral knee tension, hip pain, things like that. So what you're gonna do, I'm gonna demonstrate right here. I'm gonna show you on one side, but you're gonna wanna repeat this on both sides of your legs, okay? So you're gonna take the foam roller, you're gonna place it perpendicular to your body. Now, even when you're foam rolling and stretching, form you need to be aware of that, okay? You don't want to be all sloppy and things like that, because whatever you do all the time, your body gets used to. So we always want to have good technique and things like that. So what you're going to do is one leg, the bottom leg is straight. The other leg is crossed over, so this foot is flat. Your elbow is under your shoulder and your shoulders are stacked. You're gonna start right under the bony part of your hip. You don't wanna start on a bone. We're not foam rolling bones and joints, we're foam rolling muscle tissue and tendons. So you're gonna lift up that bottom leg and you're gonna slowly foam roll. Every little knot you feel, you wanna pause just for a few seconds. Then as you go, you wanna just kind of move your shoulder and make sure you keep moving your elbow too. You wanna go all the way down to the bottom of your knee and then back up to the top of the hip, okay? You wanna spend about 30 seconds on each side. That's foam rolling that IT band. All right, the next foam rolling technique I'm going over is for the glutes, okay? So whether you sit a lot or stand a lot, especially by training and training for warriors, we use our hips a lot. But once again, how often are you giving some good hip care to make sure that you're not creating knots and tension in the lower back, front of the hips, all those things. And whenever a joint complex is gonna be malfunction or not working properly, it's gonna affect all the joints above and below. So you wanna also take that into consideration. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna sit on the foam roller perpendicular to our hips. The first thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna foam roll our left hip, is we're gonna make sure our right leg is bent, right foot is on the ground. We're gonna take our left leg, we're gonna place this left foot on top of the right knee. Now you wanna support your body properly. You wanna actually lean into this hip. You start at the top of the hip or the top of the butt. Try to let all of your weight go onto that left side and slowly foam roll to the bottom of the butt cheek. You might feel some knots, you might not. If you don't feel knots, that's a good thing. Okay, after about 20 or 30 seconds on that hip, you're gonna go to the right hip, same thing. Now, when you're done with that, I want you to actually take the foam roller and set it parallel to your glute fibers or your hip fibers, okay? You have to remember that your glutes and your pecs, they're fan shaped. So you wanna make sure that you foam roll a couple different directions to make sure that you're releasing all those knots. Same procedure, foam rollers at a different spot, but now you're gonna go from your tailbone to the outside of your hip and back. So you just slowly roll in. You might find some knots that weren't there the other way, and then back to the middle. So foam roll perpendicular, foam roll parallel, 20 to 30 seconds each hit. All right, so the first three exercises were to target your connective tissue. And the way that I want you to think about connective tissue is it's the sock and your muscles are the foot, right? So now that we've got the sock taken care of, now we're gonna actually work on the muscles themselves, and we do so with static stretches. Now with the static stretch, you're not actually causing the muscle to lengthen more than it really can. A muscle is as long as it can get. What you're doing is you're actually kind of repatterning how your brain is activating muscles. And you do that by taking a muscle to its furthest range of motion and holding an extended static stretch, and it shifts around. There are specialized neurons inside your muscles called mechanoreceptors. You have three main kinds. I'm not gonna get too specific into all of those, but just know that as you stretch, you influence other mechanoreceptors to cause the muscle to not be so tight, or as I like to call it, turned on, right? For example, if you sit a lot and you look at the hip, your hip is bent at 90 degrees. So there's a couple muscles that are actually mechanically shortened or tight or turned on. You have your hip flexors and your hamstrings. Okay, so if you have a sedentary desk job and you work 8-10 hours a day, you come in here, you don't foam roll, you don't stretch, you go right into jumping jacks and then smash a hurricane, you might wonder why your knees are hurting, your lower back's a little tight. It's because those muscles are still turned on. And as your muscles, or as your brain is recruiting muscles for whatever you're demanding, it's not necessarily recruiting the right muscles because there's this weird misaligned feedback system. So long story short, the first one I'm gonna show you here of the 12 is internal and external rotation for the hip. Every stretch, 30 seconds. The best way to do this is don't count in your head. Most people count way too quick. So what I recommend is a stopwatch, or everybody already has a stopwatch on their smartphone. Just keep your smartphone next to you. Start and stop is all you need. I'd recommend 1 to 2 sets for each stretch. First one. Left knee is out front, left foot flush against right thigh. Take your right hand, pull your right foot in as close as you can. you would start your timer. Then you're just gonna relax your upper body. You're gonna reach out as far as you can, hold for maybe 3 to 5 seconds. Then you're gonna come back to the middle. Then you're gonna reach towards the leg that's out front. Stretch out as far as you can, 3 to 5 seconds. Come back to the middle. You'll repeat that process for about 30 seconds, then you'll switch to the other side. All right, next up, we are targeting one of the 2 muscles that make up the calf complex. Now, what's interesting about the calves is, through my experience, about 90% of the individuals that I work with usually have one or both of the muscles that are tight. Now, why that's bad is it affects ankle mobility, your range of motion to flex or extend your ankle, and that will mess up with every lift that you do in the gym, especially your squats and your deadlifts, okay? So if you're not squatting properly, you're not deadlifting properly, 9 times out of 10, it's because of your ankle complex. So take good aware of this stretch. So basically all you need to do this is either a good solid structure, wall, rig, whatever. But here's the things you want to remember. I'm just going to show you on the left side here. Your hands are at about shoulder height, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to bring your left leg back, right leg forward. It's close to the wall or wherever it's at. The key here, left leg stays completely straight, no bending in the knee, and the left heel cannot leave the ground. So keep your chest tall. What you're going to slowly do, once again, you have to start your timer, and then you're going to bend towards the wall by bending the elbows and bending the front knee. Once you get a full stretch on that calf, that's when you start your timer, and that's when you hold. 30 seconds each leg. All right, this next stretch, I think most everybody is familiar with and has done before correctly. I don't know. This one's to target the quadriceps and, once again, some hip flexors. So all you're gonna do is, once again, I'm gonna demonstrate on the left side. Grab you something sturdy. And what you wanna do is cradle your ankle, relax your foot, and then you're gonna just keep your chest tall and pull back until you get the left knee in line with the right knee. Now, you don't want to pull so hard that you actually start to alter the hip position in your upper body to where you extend your lower back. So you keep your body tall, neutral spine, bring it up, relax, pull back until you feel a good stretch on that front thigh, keeping the knees close together and hold. Meaning you don't want to be like out here, okay? Knees are close, pull back till you feel that stretch, relaxing the foot so your toes in, not out, and holding 30 seconds. So now we've been focusing heavily on the hips and the front side. Now we're gonna hit the back side of your thighs, called the hamstrings. It's called the cross hamstring stretch. There is a little bit of instability involved. So if you feel that you're unstable, position yourself next to a wall, a couch, something like that if at home, just in case if you lose your balance, you have something to catch yourself, okay? So basically you gotta do it both ways. I'll only demonstrate on one, 30 seconds each side. You wanna relax your upper body. It's the only time I'll tell you to make a human question mark or a human caption with your upper body to enhance the stretch on the hamstrings. So you'll go left over right, okay? Feet are close, toes are straight ahead. When the left foot goes over the right, you're gonna actually be stretching the right hamstring complex. Conversely, right over left, stretching the left. So once you just drape your body, you're gonna slowly come down, keeping your legs as straight as you can. Once you get to the bottom part, that's where you hold for 30 seconds, okay? So once again, I'll demonstrate from the side to show you that I'm gonna actually round out my upper body to enhance the stretch on the hamstrings. Drape down as far as you can. Next stretch is twofold. So remember how I was telling you that there's 2 muscles of the calf complex. Now one crosses the knee joint and one does not. So the one that crosses the knee joint, you have to keep your leg straight to stretch that out. The one that does not cross the knee joint, you actually have to bend the knee. So this next stretch is to target the lower leg and the hip flexor, okay? So here's what you do. This one is best done in front of a wall or something that you can push your toe up against. So I'm just gonna use this part of the rig to demonstrate that. So I'm gonna start with my left hip back and my right foot forward, chest is tall. Now what you wanna do is first start with your toe all the way against the wall and touch your knee. If you don't feel a stretch in that right calf muscle, what you do is bring that foot back further. Chest is tall, lean in. Repeat that process, just moving like a half an inch or an inch back each time. Eventually you'll find, okay, there's my stretch. Once again, the right foot, the heel cannot leave, and you'll be stretching this left hip. So you'll lean in, knee touches wall, I feel the stretch here, right heel is down, hold 30 seconds. All right, next up, this is one of my personal favorites because I get the best stretch out of it. And so yes, it's also the most painful, but I also get the biggest benefit out of this. This is called the hip dip stretch, okay? It's gonna stretch out the front part of your shoulders and your glutes. Here's how you execute. Once again, done on both sides, 30 seconds each. Sit on a bench or a chair, something of about this height. You wanna start by sitting on your thumbs. You're gonna keep your chest up. Now I'm gonna demonstrate here. I'm gonna put my right foot on top of my left knee. Okay, and I'm just gonna walk out, keeping my left ankle under my left knee. You don't wanna be way out here or way out here. Okay, properly aligned. You're about an inch away from the bench. You're gonna sink down as far as you can. Once you get to the bottom, that's where you hold. So you'll feel the stretch in the glute of the leg that's up and on the front part of your shoulders. All right, next up, we have the sumo stretch. Once again, we're targeting the hamstrings. This one, it really hurts me good because I got tight hamstrings. So here's how you set up and execute this one. Once you push your butt up as high as you can, that's when you'll start your stretch, 30-second hold, okay? So I'll show you from the side so you can see, but basically, first let me show you here. Your feet are really wide, and how you set up is you're gonna go down, elbows to knees, fingers all the way under your shoes. That's when you push up. So from the side, feet are wide, toes are out. I'm gonna put my elbows to my knees, fingers are under the tips of my toes, and I'm gonna push up, and that's when I would start my 30 seconds. All right, next up, we got the child's pose. This one is gonna stretch out the biggest muscle group in your body, called the latissimus dorsi, short for lats, okay? So basically, here's how you set up for this. Kneeling position, toes are flat, knees are outside the hips. Sink your butt back as far as you can. Prayer hands, straight out. Butt is down, arms are straight. And that's exactly how you hold for 30 seconds. All right, hey, so if you're sitting for work, sitting to drive your kids around from recreation sport to recreation sport, whatever, not only are your hip flexors shortened, but also your abdominals from sitting. So this is a great stretch for both the abdominals and the hip flexors. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna get into a position like you're about to do a push-up, but your hips won't leave the ground and only your upper body. I'll show you how we do that. So like I said, you're gonna have your legs about hip width apart, hands under the shoulders. You're gonna take a big deep breath in, you're gonna slowly exhale as you push your body slowly away from the ground. Once you're fully extended, that's when you're gonna hold for your 30 seconds. So as you can see, sitting puts a lot of muscles into a very short position. And it's not always just the lower body, we're also talking about the upper body as well. So whenever you're sitting, think of driving, think of being on a computer, looking into a tablet, right? Our shoulders are pulled forward, and that messes up the lats, which we already stretch, but also the pecs, right? So if your shoulders bother you, your lower back bothers you, you need to focus on the lat stretch and this one here. Now I'm just gonna demonstrate from the rig. You can easily do this one at home with a door frame, but there's 3 positions I want you guys to focus on, right? So it's elbows at shoulder width. Remember, once again, your pecs are fan shaped like your glutes. Then I want you to go elbows above wrist, or elbows above shoulders, elbows below shoulders. 20 to 30 seconds each stretch. So what you gotta do, let's say this is my door frame. Okay, I'll demonstrate this way. I'm gonna put my left foot out front, and I'm gonna lean forward by bending my left knee and not my upper body. Once you feel that deep stretch, hold for 30 seconds, switch legs, and then repeat all 3 positions. All right, now number 14 of the Prehab15 is thoracic extension. Now, even though I'm displaying a foam roller, this isn't a foam rolling technique per se. It can be done off a bench and things like that as demonstrated in the picture, but I have found that it's easiest to do off a foam roller. So basically, here's what happens. That rounded posture that we get from sitting, driving, looking into TVs, computer screens, tablets, things like that, it creates this curvature in the thoracic part of your spine. And the thoracic part of your spine is not meant to be curved that way. So over time, months, years, decades, whatever, you start to lose an essential extension and rotation component of your spine. So if that part of your spine can't perform rotating, something has to. And 9 times out of 10, it's the lumbar spine, which your lumbar spine is designed and looks like a tree trunk to support a lot of compressive weight, but not to rotate, flex, and extend. So if you're experiencing lower back pain, this might be your saving grace, okay? So I'm gonna demonstrate what we do here. Put your foam roller down. What you're gonna do is you're gonna slowly go back and forth, find the bottom part of your ribs. That's your starting point. Okay, heels are down, toes are up. Cross your hands over your shoulders to expose all the upper back. What you're gonna do is slowly lift up your butt, and you're just gonna kind of crab walk back and forth. Find that bottom part. Okay, once I found the bottom part of my ribs, I'm gonna take a big deep breath, and I'm gonna slowly exhale. I'm gonna drape over the foam roller. I'm gonna come right back up. Okay, then I'm just gonna move the foam roller up maybe an inch or two. Repeat the process. 15 is wall slides. Now I'm gonna demonstrate with an invisible wall, but I'm gonna give you the key components that you need, and I'm gonna go through the motions. So all you need to do is put your body against the wall and execute. Now, why the wall slides is such an amazing drill is it actually helps facilitate what we call scapular upward rotation that we tend to lose, right? Because think about it, how many times during the day are you having to reach overhead? For most of us, not very often, but it's a very essential human movement. And think about how many times our arms are overhead in training for warriors, a lot. So if you're not doing that a lot and then you come in here, you're probably not using the right muscles. So really what the 15th Prehab 15 exercise does is it ties everything together into a dynamic movement. This is called a muscle synergy, right? You want to use the right muscles, which is mainly the upper trap and the rhomboids, and your lats do help a little bit as well, and upward scapular rotation. So first thing you do, let's say there's a wall behind me. I'm gonna make sure my heel, my butt, my shoulders, my head, then I'm gonna set my elbows at 90 degrees, elbows touch the wall, and wrists touch the wall. Now what you wanna do is pressing your arms hard into the wall, you'll slide up into a V, and then back down. You're gonna push straight up and away, and pull your shoulder blades down. Okay, that one I want you to do 2 sets of 8 repetitions, making sure that the feet, the back, the head, the shoulders, the elbows, and the wrist do not come off the wall, okay? And if you see that you can't get your elbows or your wrist all the way against the wall, or parts you're having a hard time touching, that's okay, because the more you do all the other 14 combined with the wall slides, you should be able to get everything contacted to the wall. So once again, heels touch, your tailbone touches, the upper back shoulder blades touch, the head touches. Elbows touch, wrist is pushed into the wall, you push out into a W or a V formation as far out as you can, then you're slowly dragging the elbows back in, pushing against the wall, still pushing against the wall. Hey guys, that's our Prehab 15, and I'm counting on you to do it every